Hello, and welcome to the Spatial Fire Planning introductory video on editing shapes in ArcGIS Pro. This video will cover setting up a project map document, checking out the service using a mobile geodatabase, adding a simple shape, and optionally filling out the attributes and saving or checking the data back in to the Spatial Fire Planning Service. Then we will verify in the Read-Only tab of the Spatial Fire Planning Experience Builder application that the data is indeed checked in. Other videos in the series will cover the approval of a shape and updating attributes for a shape within the Spatial Fire Planning Experience Builder application. To begin, we are going to log in to the National Interagency Fire Center ArcGIS Online organization. If you have questions about NIFC accounts and roles required, please see the Spatial Fire Planning Guide. Once logged into NIFC, we will go to the Content tab and utilize our groups to locate and favorite the Spatial Fire Planning Edit Shape Geometry Map service. This will make it easier when we go into ArcPro and begin editing. Now, let's go ahead and open ArcGIS Pro with an empty template. Once open, we want to verify that we are logged into the NIFC ArcGIS Online portal with the correct named account that has been granted editing privileges to the Spatial Fire Planning Service. Utilizing the Catalog tab in ArcGIS Pro, we will navigate to the NIFC portal and use the favorites to locate and load the Spatial Fire Planning Edit Shape Geometry Map service. Please be patient, as depending on your internet speed, this may take a couple of minutes. We are also going to add the Public Jurisdictional Unit service as a best practice for boundaries. We'll talk more about that shortly. In the table of contents, you will notice 4 layers, which are basically copies of the Spatial Fire Planning Service broken out into each shape type using definition queries for your convenience. Next, we are going to leave the subunit non-overlapping shape layer on and navigate to our area of interest, in this case, the Land of Oz units. Here, we see we have existing shapes, and using the Identify tool, we can now view any related language. For example, we have a subunit non-overlapping shape that says Resource Benefit Optional, Management of Fire for Resource Benefits can be considered for Sleepy Poppy regeneration. Now, before we move on to adding a simple shape, I'd like to talk about why we added jurisdictional units to the table of contents. If you're adding a unit boundary or a subunit non-overlapping shape, you might consider snapping to the boundaries in jurisdictional units. This avoids the creation of gaps or overlaps. We do understand some agencies have to use their own authoritative boundaries, and we will cover this later in a video about adding and QA/QCing more complex shapes. Now we are ready to add a simple shape. The first step is to download an offline map. We do this to avoid editing conflicts, and by zooming in to your area of interest and turning off layers not in use, you will get a small subset of the data to work with. Again, this can take a couple of minutes depending on your internet speed. Once downloaded, you can verify you have a mobile edit geodatabase in your catalog. It should have a long alphanumeric string. Do not pull these feature classes or tables into your map. If you go to the Data Source tab in the table of contents, you will note your layers are now pointing to the mobile edit geodatabase. Do not worry if you see other layers that have a long alphanumeric string. This just means that sync is enabled, but you don't have edit access to those layers. Now we are ready to start an edit session from the menu. We're going to verify that snapping is on and start with the Create Features tool. This will bring up an editing template, and the active template is the one that matches the current symbology. Do not panic when you see the red exclamation point. This just means that you need to fill out some required attributes. These include agency, unit ID, unit name, geographic area, and contact name. Failure to fill out these fields may cause unexpected sort results in Experience Builder. To make it easier, I would suggest using the Identify tool in an existing shape because your unit ID and unit name must match the unit IDX system values. It's easy to use copy and paste to avoid any typos. We also have to choose our GAC, and it is required that we put in a contact name. You are free to fill out other fields in your shape attributes at this time, but the approval workflow needs to be done through Experience Builder, and we recommend that you activate shapes in Experience Builder as well. Once this is complete, you can go ahead and draw your shape. Again, this is why we turned snapping on, because this is a subunit non-overlapping shape, and so we want to avoid any gaps or overlaps within the data. So we're going to go ahead and draw a shape down in this area, fill in our little triangle here, and go ahead and snap to the edge of our existing shape and complete our polygon. Now we're ready to save our edits. Go to our edit menu and save our edits, verifying we are indeed editing against the Spatial Fire Planning Service. Now, going back to our Map tab, we can sync our data and check it back into the service by first using the Sync button and then using the Remove button. Again, this may take a few minutes depending on your data and your internet connection. Once complete, we can turn the layer on and off and verify the data is indeed there. We can also use our catalog to verify the mobile geodatabase is now gone. Finally, we can go into the Spatial Fire Planning Experience Builder application to verify the shape. The link to the application is provided in the Spatial Fire Planning Guide, and a link to the guide is also provided on the landing page of both the training and production applications. There's also a link to provide feedback. So entering the application, we're going to go ahead and look at the View Only tab. We can navigate by geographical area, in this case Rocky Mountain. And then we need to enter our agency, in this case the National Park Service, and our unit, which is the Land of Oz. Now that we've verified our shape is present, we can move on to filling out the rest of the shape fields in the Shape Approval tab or Edit Categories tab. We can also add or update related language in the Edit Language tab. Thank you, and please see our other videos on adding or editing complex shapes and adding or updating the associated language. Thank you, and we appreciate your time.